Good morning, Commissioners. Alan Pfeiffer, Concerned Citizens, Franklin County. I'd like to ask Mr. Speed, how many youths were involved last year in the program?
There's a bunch
We had
of
a lot. We had anywhere from 30 to 50 children.
Quite a few.
Yes, sir.
This seems, this is the first I'd heard of it also, and I guess the public's heard about this request. And as Alan was saying, does this essentially break new ground as to what the county is going to support? Because in other sports, you may have to pay a fee to play football or to play baseball. There's fundraising versus just simply coming to the county and saying, fund my sport. I'd just like the county to be cautious in maybe creating a new entitlement and creating a headache for themselves. And is this an organization, a 401c3? Is we just funding a private individual?
We'll find that out.
There's a lot of open questions here that I haven't heard the answers on right now. This may be excellent to do.
But Mr. Pfeiffer,
Hold on. Alan, I appreciate your concern, and we will take every precaution in the future about this. But number one, it is not an entitlement. Number two, we're supporting the youth of Franklin County with
Exactly.
this. And this is what it is. Anything to get these youth off the streets and into productive, activities that, keeps them busy and everything in the summer and everything else. I just wish we would have programs like this when I came up in this county. So,
I think this is great. I just want to.
but it's not an entitlement.
I just want to treat everybody the same.
We've been had this program. I asked for this program, and when Nikki was over,
And before
They
then,
do the same
Commissioner,
thing.
we've been trying to get this basketball going.
and they used to play. They had the same thing going on. In the middle of basketball season, they used to halftime. I'm sure used to perform right over there at the school. So this been going on. It's not the first time.
Just-
Yeah, I think what we need to do is look out for the team and Mr. Pfeiffer. If we can get it up off the ground, something that, like Commissioner Lockett said, he's been trying to work for years, and now it's coming ahead. So maybe once we really see it's going to move forward, then we can start with registration fees or something like that. But right now, we need it up off the ground running. A lot of kids say they don't have anything to do. Basketball is a lot of them sport. So, let's get in and support this. And I appreciate you, Commissioners.
All right. I have a motion second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Just carry it out and do what you do.
Good luck
Okay.
with it.
But,
All right.
but Mr. Speed, realize now that we want to know, keep informed with Commissioner Lockley and Mr. Fonda Davis here, and let us know what the city of Apalachicola gives y'all, okay?
Okay, I will. Absolutely. Thank
'Cause
you very much.
You got $2,500 from the county
Yes, ma'am.
to use as leverage to them to give you another $2,500.
Absolutely.
Okay?
All right, thank you very much.
All right,
Okay.
thank you, Fonda.
All right.
Pam Brownell, Emergency Management.
She needs to.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I do not have any action items today.
Have none?
None.
Anybody got anything for Pam?
One thing, hurricane conference, are you going to it?
Yes, ma'am. That's
And that-
part of my scope of work. That's in May, and I also brought some information to Michael about that, because the governor's conference is not strictly for emergency management, health departments, law enforcement, forestry, anybody that deals with disaster.
I know.
There's also some important training that is in there for Michael and some for Amy in CRS. So I brought that information to him in case they had it in their budget and wanted to go.
Where's it at?
It's going to be in Orlando this year.
Well, that's why I said, I've got some fellow commissioners in other counties that's going, and they call me, are you going to the hurricane conference? I really don't want to go,
Now,
but,
there's the National Hurricane Conference, and then there's the Governor's Conference. We're not going to the National Hurricane Conference. I think that's in Texas, I think.
no, this is the.
The
one in
governor's?
Orlando.
Yeah.
It's on the 8th of May. 8th of May.
We leave Mother's Day, and it runs that following week.
That'll be 8th of May.
Anybody got anything for Pam?
Hurricane ready?
Thank you.
Yes, sir. If the citizens of Franklin County is ready, we're ready. And we preach, get a plan all year long.
Thank you, Pam.
Hey, you still passing out them where you get back in the county?
Yes, sir. In fact, Jeannie talked to a vet in Lanark this morning, so we're going to set up for Jeannie to go out to Lanark and try to get them reentry tags, because we've had some new people moved in out there. We found that out when we were out there doing damage assessments, and we told them then to come in and get tags. But we're going to set up a date that she can go out there and probably personally go by and see him because he's disabled.
Does it, re-entry tags is something that's ever evolving? I mean, there's people coming in and
People
out
coming in,
of here every
yes,
day,
ma'am, and it's
so-
on our website, and we preach that. Plus, we're also signing them up for Nixle, our emergency notification system, which is free to the county. Now, it can't pinpoint, like the Sheriff's Code Red did, it can't pinpoint pocket groups. When we send out a notification, we'll send it out either, if it's just information, we send it as an email. If it's an alert, we'll do it where it notifies their phones. But it's a free service to us, but the state is in the process of taking bids for a mass notification system for the whole state of Florida. So we'll all be on the same system.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Eric Love Strand?
I don't know if you all got the email, Commissioner, but late yesterday evening, he said that he couldn't be here. He had just realized he had another commitment.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, let me know, and I will forward them to him, Chairman.
All right.
Give me that look.
Alex, you come forward, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
How are y'all today?
Fine. Have you heard anything from Congress about our East Point Channel being
That's
dredged?
right.
No, sir, ma'am, I have
No,
not.
she needs to get on the ball because re-election's coming up and we need that channel dredged.
We
Yes,
need
sir.
some
I can bring it up.
answers.
We need some answers, not today. I mean, I've heard this and heard it. I'm ready for it to be dredged.
Yes, sir, I can bring that up with you this afternoon.
Okay.
We get, Alex, just to refresh your memory, we get hit every day with the East Point Channel,
Yes, ma'am.
every day. And every time we come and ask you something about what's going on, you always tell us, oh, she's working on it. Well, we ain't got it yet.
No,
Or we
ma'am,
haven't got it yet, excuse me.
What I've said is I haven't been briefed on any updates, and I'm just telling you what I've been doing.
Well, and I love you to death, don't
Yes, ma'am.
get me wrong. But relay to the Congresswoman that we need to have someone that's got answers down here for Franklin County.
Yes, ma'am.
Because the channel is very important to the economy of Franklin County.
Yes, ma'am.
And we have had it more than one time allocated and taken away. So we need to have something done before we die on the vine down here in Franklin County.
We're about to die on the vine because I can't hardly get out of the channel.
I know.
I stopped over this morning and the boys were running aground trying to get out the channel.
Yes, sir.
The other day when we had the northwest winds, it was so cold and the wind was blowing, there wasn't but maybe that wide in that channel. They can't operate like that, Alex.
Yes, ma'am.
We got the permits in hand if we can just get the funding that was taken away from us years ago.
We
Yes,
just
ma'am.
need the money, son.
Yes, sir, I can relay that.
They didn't put, we done spend, the state done spend a lot, and the feds, they spend a lot of money, you know, putting, reshelling the bay and everything. But it ain't gonna do no good if they can't go to work.
That's
I mean,
right.
Yes, sir.
They locked in. I mean, it's getting worse and worse. Every day it's getting more dirt going in.
See if you can
Yes, sir.
find out something for me, let me know, because, I mean, we gotta get something going,
Yes, sir.
okay? I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Tell her I said she done a good job on my veteran thing.
I appreciate it, Mr. Martha.
I got mine.
Well, glad to hear that.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
We'll take a 5-minute recess, we'll be back.
Yep.
Board of County Commissioners bound back in session.
All right, Commissioners, we are going to open the RFQ, it should be, because there's no cost associated for the County Court Probation Services.
Qualified firm.
And, okay,
There are three.
you might want to cut these, I'm not too good with that knife
There are
there.
three.
Might be blood on it before it's all over.
Submissions, two of them are known on the outside, one of them came in a FedEx or UPS box. We have to open that to see what it is, but there are three submissions came in a timely fashion. The first one is Panhandle Probation Services. open up to make sure that at least one complete set of documents are in there. So in your tally sheet, it'll say cost, but you could ignore the cost column. There's no cost. That's,
Where they at?
well, it's not that there's no cost. The cost of the probation is not to the county itself.
Okay, Panhandle Probation Services is the first one we opened up, and it's Panama City. Okay. The second one, just in the order, is out of the UPS box. There's not a name on it. We're gonna open up this one and see what it is. The second one is a company called East Coast Court Services, East Coast Court Services, and their address is 17 High Drive, Crawfordville, Florida. And the third one, peanuts in the box for real.
There you go, professional probation.
This is, the third one is Professional Probation Services out of Norcross, Georgia. Professional Probation Services out of Norcross, Georgia.
Commissioners, it's my recommendation that you appoint a 3-person committee to review these proposals. My suggestion for your consideration is a committee consisting of Mr. Michael Morone, Mr. Alan Pierce, and Mr. Mark Curington. They would then evaluate the proposals and rank them 1, 2, and 3. And then the board would make a selection of the number one firm, and then I would, according to the statute, we are required to consult with the county judge and receive his approval for the firm that's selected. So the motion that I would suggest you entertain is the motion to appoint the committee I've just set forth for you, unless the board has other intentions or desires.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Is that all of it?
That's it.
Okay. We're gonna start that. Okay.
Okay, Commissioners. Well, keep a long story short. Not too long ago, I got a call about entity over in St. George Island was promoting a mail review show. Actually, I got the call from the clerk's office. They had called over there wanting to know if there were any restrictions to this type of show. I made contact with the individual. I sent them the county's ordinance, let them know any show that they had. And I did say male strippers, and I was corrected by the gentleman. He said to me, it's not male strippers. It is, in fact, a male review of Las Vegas style. I said, whatever your show is, it has to comply with our ordinance. I sent him a copy of the ordinance. I never heard back from the gentleman again. I got a call the following week, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a little later than that, from the sheriff's department, asking me if I'd seen this advertisement that's online. And the sheriff and I and his team, we met, and Mr. Chairman, we met with you and individually, and then we met with Commissioner Watson in his district. And we had a discussion with the sheriff, and the sheriff said he was going to have a meeting with the sponsors of this show and determine if what they were doing it's part of our ordinance. If it falls under our ordinance, I guess is a term I can use. And he would make determinations as to whether or not they needed the registration, a permit that is in the ordinance, if their function met what we were doing, and what enforcement would take place. And here we are, to be very honest with you. The sheriff is here, and I would prefer that he comes up and he explains where he went from there after he left our meeting and where he's at right now with that situation. If I've explained that.
Good morning, Mike.
Well, I do have Captain Segrey. He's one of the staff of the office that's been working on this for now over a month, and he's reviewed the ordinance. We did speak with our Sheriff Association attorney, and from the way it looks on the ordinance, that we need more teeth in this ordinance, if you would. You know, again, we've looked at it. The ordinance is It's a lot of regulations, and it's not like a Florida statute where you have battery, you touch or strike someone against their will, that's battery. That's not what we're looking at. On the advice of our attorney, at this point, the ordinance is not what we need to be able to enforce this mail review or whatever it's being called. Again, I do have Captain Seaver. He's on his way over. He can probably explain it because he's the one that's been looking at it for over a month. But that's the issue. I'll go with what, if I get support of the board, we'll do what we have to do. I'm absolutely not in favor of this type of parties or whatever you want to call it. As we see to our west, Bay County, what they deal with, and this is part of the problem, is what it brings in and what we have to deal with. So I'm definitely against that, but being against it and being able to enforce it's two different, there's a fine line there, I guess, if you will. That's where I'm at. So, but Captain can probably explain it a little better than I can because he has been looking at it. And, we did meet with the county attorney and Michael and trying to come to a resolution, but that's where we at. That's our stance, and right now it puts us in a tough situation.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask the sheriff a question?
Yes, ma'am.
First, I want to make a comment. A couple of years ago, Mike, you came, or Sheriff, you came before us.
Yes, Mike.
I'm sorry, he's Mike to me.
That's right.
God-fearing man, let me tell you. A couple of years ago, you came before us, and you had to put out extra money for people going over there and helping Mr. Frank McKee from the sheriff of Bay County to do the spring breakers and stuff. And when you come before us, what did I say? I said, it's coming this way, and we better get prepared, because I knew it was coming this way. Now, I want to know from you, and I know Brad's going to come and comment on some stuff, but you as sheriff, speaking with the Florida Sheriff's Association, what do you think, in your professional opinion, that we need to do as a commission to make sure that this event does not happen Saturday or whatever day in Franklin County? Do you have any suggestions to this board that we could do today to keep that from happening?
Well, again, I think we would have to, the ordinance would have to have more teeth to it. We're going to have to, we could sit down and work on that. I'm sure that our attorney would be glad to get involved with that and help us with that, but that's my direction, is because we have one, I think on the 18th of March at Harry A's. That's a female. I don't know what the name of it is, but they're advertising it as we speak. So we have to come up with a solution and move forward with it.
Can I ask you, if we want to stop them, what did they say they would do to us? If we went to shut them down.
Well, here's the issue. Again, it goes back to any law that I enforce. If I come to your house without a search warrant, this ordinance has to apply. We can only go on what they're telling us, what they're going to be wearing. They're going to be clothed like you would have on at the beach, a Speedo style, I guess, if you will. So they have moved it outside. It will not be inside. So, I think we would have to address this ordinance to be able to enforce this. From what I've seen, what we looked at, and what our attorney has told us. So, because I have to go on what, their recommendation and move in that direction.
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Yes, sir.
I don't see where, we can't change an ordinance today and have it apply on Friday. You got to advertise ordinances, we're not going to get anywhere with that today to stop this thing on Friday. My question is will you have officers in attendance that if they do not comply with what is in that ordinance, what you're saying is loosely written, I'll use those words, but will you have people there? If there's things that they are doing that doesn't comply with the current ordinance that's obvious,
Right.
Will you be there looking at this kind of stuff?
Well, I'll say this, that's being discussed. And
you do have the ability to enforce what is in that ordinance.
Absolutely. If, say for an example, again, I'm going on what they're saying to us, and that's what I have to go on. I can't, again, on my personal feelings, we don't need that, but it would be different than what, where we headed with it now. But if they're in there and they strip down and nude, then yeah, that's a crime. That's easy to, we can handle that. There can be an arrest made, that's not an issue. So that is something we are discussing and looking at.
But what we're actually looking at is strengthening the ordinance where it'll never happen again. I mean, is that basically?
Well, that's what I would like to see. I just, again, I
Don't
don't.
need to, well, and excuse me, Sheriff, but it don't need to be happening this time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean no harm, and I want to have everybody come, but that is not what we do in Franklin County.
Totally agree.
And I'm sorry, but that's, it's like I said, if I had my personal feelings into this,
Right.
we wouldn't have nothing here. But we shut that gate up years ago. But we don't. And that's the reason why I ask you, in your professional opinion, and talking with the Sheriff's Association, what do you think we could do? And you don't think we can do
Well, that's the
anything?
reason we've been working on this probably for over a month, is because, how I feel about it, and I don't feel like we need that here. As someone said, it's not our brand here, and I have an issue with that. But with that said, I still have to abide, I took an oath to, I can't go step across that, if you will, and that's where we at.
Well,
Yeah, because they say they're going to sue us if we try to shut them down.
I'm sure. I mean, that's the way it,
I make a motion, we shut them down.
Second. Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to shut them down.
Discussion.
Go ahead.
I'd like to hear the attorney's opinion on that.
Well, the sheriff, as an independent constitutional officer, y'all don't have the authority to direct him to enforce an ordinance when the man has stood up in a public meeting based on advice of his counsel and said that he can't enforce it. You're going to put him in an impossible position.
I know it.
So my recommendation would be that you not vote on the motion, that you withdraw it, and you direct me to work with the Sheriff's Association attorney to fix this 20-plus-year-old statute so it doesn't happen. But right now, I mean, I'm not sure who the sheriff has talked to as the attorney at his association, but I'll be, with your permission, I will diligently work with him to make sure this ordinance gets strengthened and gives the sheriff the tools that he needs to do the job that he wants to do, and that you want him to do.
And I agree with you, Mr. Sheriff, but I'm going to tell you something. As a commissioner, I am here to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people of Franklin County. That's what one of my jobs is, one of my jobs. I'm a God-fearing woman. I fear God, I know His laws, and I know His rules, and I don't care what nobody says. They can knock me any way they want to. I answer to God.
Yep.
And I will not rescind my second. I will not rescind my second.
One question was what do you do to shut it down, Mike, attorney? Well, if the board votes to shut it down, what is your recourse? What action are you going to take?
Well, there's no action that the county can take. The ordinance itself only has one penalty. It is a criminal offense to violate the ordinance, and the county commission does not enforce criminal penalties. That is exclusively the province of the sheriff to look at the ordinance, make an investigation, and if he thinks a violation has occurred, he'll make an arrest. If he thinks he can't enforce the ordinance, and that's what his attorney is telling him, well, then he's not going to enforce it.
But it sounds like the board wants to shut it down. What course of action do you take to shut it
Where
down?
we at on that, like Smokey said, to shut it down, what's?
With the Board of County Commissioners, we can do anything. That's what I've been told. I'm serious.
You're our
Quite
attorney,
serious.
and that motion is going to be directed to you to take action. What action can you take to do that?
Commissioner, the ordinance itself only has a criminal penalty. I don't have the authority to arrest anyone any more than the county commission has the authority to arrest anyone. The only person in this room, in this county, that has that ability are duly sworn and certified law enforcement officials. So there's nothing that I can do on your behalf to go arrest somebody and shut them down. We don't have that authority. That's why we have an elected sheriff. And right now, his attorney's telling him that he can't enforce this ordinance.
But the board is saying they want to shut it down. Is there no court action we can take, or?
We can't do an injunction?
I don't believe that you can do an injunction, Commissioner, because the penalty itself under the ordinance is only an arrest, a criminal penalty. If I go seek an injunction right now, I'll tell you the first thing they're going to do. they're gonna call that man right there on the stand and say, is this a violation of the ordinance? And he's gonna say, no, it's not. Guess what? You're not going to win a case when the law enforcement official of Franklin County is going to be called as a witness, in my opinion, and he's gonna stand up in court under oath and say the same thing in front of a judge, that he's telling you right now that the ordinance needs to be corrected, that the ordinance is not enforceable in this instance for this particular type of an event. So the judge is not going to issue, in my opinion, an injunction to prevent that event or that performance with that type of testimony before the court.
So
I
the
think
best
he's gonna have no
thing,
choice but to say in court what he said here today.
so the best thing that we could hope for is that people would have a little conscience about themselves and just not do it. That's the only thing that we can do.
Well, I started looking at this last week when it became apparent that there was a problem. I've not investigated particularly the specifics of the male dance review. I'm not sure exactly, what they're doing, but I have looked at other counties and what they're doing in regulating and prohibiting nudity. And you do have an ordinance that I think is very strong and enforceable on the not allowing any nudity in public. I've looked at other ordinances, and ours, I believe, is consistent with the other ordinances in other counties that I've looked at. What appears to be the issue, and I get this just in a voicemail from the attorney for this group, or Ms. Christy Banks is their attorney, that they're holding this event outdoors. And the ordinance, as it was written 20 years ago, is regulating events that occur indoors. Is that the issue, Sheriff?
That's correct.
Okay. So what's happened is they have found a loophole, their attorneys found a loophole in this 20-year-old ordinance, and the timing has come up on such a crunch that, we're not, or we would not have issued a license if they had applied for it because they did not comply with the terms of the ordinance. So what they've done is gone out and apparently restructured the performance to an outdoor event, which apparently, according to the Sheriff's Association attorney, is outside the purview of our ordinance.
So therefore,
we need to undertake the process. I'll need to confirm this with his attorney, undertake the process to bring into the ordinance these outdoor performances so that they also have to obtain a license.
So Christie found something in it that they could.
Well, that's what's happened, is they've sat down and they've looked at the ordinance and they've found a way around the ordinance. That's basically what's happened.
Well, I can remember when this ordinance was written, it was for the same exact thing over on the island many years ago, and that's the reason it was made in 1998, and I can remember it.
That's right.
I can remember it, and that's the reason why, was because we had a bunch of the citizens come, and they were up in arms about this, and it's still a thing that concerns people. So, like I said.
Yeah, we got a house full of godly people. I mean, right here, they ain't want this, me and you, none of us wants this to happen.
Right, and let me
An
make
agreement.
clear, I just want to make it clear for the record, when you say take action, I mean, we wouldn't be suing these people. You'd be suing the sheriff under a writ of mandamus to make him go do something that he says he can't do. So
If you do that, I'll do it.
I understand.
Hey, if we make a motion to do it, you'll do it, you'll enforce it?
Absolutely. Okay. Yes, ma'am, Christie.
We're going to listen to both sides.
We're listening to both sides.
This is a little intimidating because this room is full of people, many people that I feel very dearly close to and respect tremendously, who are the leaders within our religious community here in Franklin County. The issue with the ordinance, it is very clear and very concise. The language that applies, the factors that trigger, if you will, what makes an activity subject to this ordinance are very clear and very concise. I don't know if you have a copy of that in front of you. I wish you would, because I'd rather not go through and voice all of those items of what falls in the category of nude entertainment. But the entertainment that's been contracted and arranged for the event on St. George Island by my client is with a professional firm. The attire will be, my client has verified with the firm that they've hired, the attire will be very similar to what you would see an individual wearing on a public beach. And I understand if it is reprehensible to many, that this type of entertainment would be contracted or procured or brought in. But the remedy is to follow the rule of law. If you want to eliminate these types of activities, and I don't know the proper verbiage to use, but say dancing or stripping, if you will, for lack of a better word, if you want to guarantee that these activities cannot take place in Franklin County, then you need to take action to amend the existing ordinance. And if you've seen this forthcoming for many years with things that happen on Bay County, I don't know why the county hasn't done it yet. But the appropriate thing to do would be to amend the ordinance to prohibit certain activities. So if it's the desire of the county to do so, and obviously very strongly supported that it do so, then I would suggest that the county Board of County Commissioners consult with its attorney and go through the appropriate steps of notice and public hearing and amending this existing ordinance. The language that's in the ordinance now, as reprehensible as you all find this, and so many in the courtroom do as well, it does not apply to what the owners of the business on St. George Island have contracted to do. They've contracted with an entertainment company to provide entertainment that involves dancing, that involves removing clothing, down to something that will be similar to a bathing suit that you could see on the beach on St. George Island on any given day.